Welcome back to episode two of Italian football. You're watching the Panenka View webcast, and I'm your host Prasad. We've started with the Italian football thing here, and we've got official supporters club members joining us on the show. By the way, so the agenda for today's episode is the Coppa Italia quarterfinal review, and we look into the games that happened in the Serie A in the weekend. So, joining me on the show today is our very own Swarnim representing Juventus. Hi, Swarnim. Good to have you
Hello.
back again. And we've got two
Same here.
special guests. We've got two special guests again. We've got Shreyas representing AC Milan. Hi, Shreyas. Great to have you as well. And we've got Arjun representing AS Roma. Arjun, we missed you last week, but I hope we see you more often come in the coming
For
weeks.
sure.
So before we get into the episode, just a quick introduction, Arjun, of yourself and AS Roma Supporters Club as a whole.
Right. So I've been an AS Roma supporter for around 13 seasons now. A question we often get asked is why Roma? Because no one really understands why we would have passion for AS Roma. And the only time we could find people who we could relate this to is when we formed our club, which is around, say, 18 months ago. We all managed to connect over Facebook and other social media. We started running our Roma India Twitter. We got in touch with the club, with AS Roma, who've actually been doing really well digitally. So it's become very easy for us to interact with the club. Why Roma for me? Simply because I thought Roma had a different kind of identity, passion, something that my friends who supported English clubs never seemed to get. And I'm sure you all here will agree that in Italy we love our one club men. So
Absolutely. I can
Francesco
agree that
Totti
being,
and
yeah,
Daniele
yeah,
De Rossi.
yeah. True, true that. So yeah, that's great, Arjun and Shreyas. Good to have you as well. Kind of the only supporter here who will be happy to do this episode, considering the fact that Milan progressed to the semi-final, and also
Without saying that, you saw some smiles on our faces, right?
also also I felt I was like Piatek when Piatek scored that goal in the weekend against Roma. I was like, okay, they might run away with it, but Roma pulled out a draw. So yes, yes, your quick introduction of yourself and how you came to know about the Milan Supporters Club, how you are with these people.
Firstly, thank you so much.
Oops! Oh shit!
I
Oh
think we
shit!
lost Shreyas.
Yeah, we lost stress. Okay, so till he's back, I think he will be back soon. Swarnim, let's start with you.
Uh-huh.
While he gets back, let's start with you on Atlanta versus Juventus. And
Okay.
Atlanta have been a force to reckon with
Of
this
course.
season. So,
hmm
did you expect that, by the way, 3-0? And
No, no,
thoughts on the
not at
game?
all. Not at all. Like if you remember what when we were on the last podcast, I was predicting a 1-0 for Juve, but it turned out way different than I expected.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And where did it go wrong? Where did you feel it went wrong for Juventus there in the game against Atlanta?
See, to be very honest, as a coach myself, I'm a UEFA licensed coach, by the way. As a
Yes.
coach myself, I could have seen Juve, I can see Juve not performing to their best for last 3 or 4 matches, especially against the match before the Coppa Italia against Lazio. And like Allegri said, you cannot always ride on your luck and special individual input by special players like Ronaldo, Dybala, and players like that. And this result was bound to happen. Unfortunately, it was on the Coppa Italia and it was a knockout match. Well, we kind of deserve to lose, and we can hope it serves as a wake-up call for the team.
Uh, so Atlanta are through to the semi-finals, and they face
hmm
Fiorentina, who, by the
hmm
way, brings me to Arjun. And Arjun, I know we are very keen to skip this part, but
Yeah, I may
7-1.
lose my connection as well. You never know.
No, no. But we're just rounding this up very quickly, Arjun. And 7-1. Did you see 7-1? Expected 7-1. I don't think you might have expected
So
7-1.
7-1 is a score that Roma fans never expect but often have to live with.
Oh shit!
It's
I can
happened to
relate.
us 5 times in our history, 3 times recently. 2006-7 Champions League against Manchester United. That's the one the whole world was watching. Recently at home against Bayern Munich in the group stages of the 2014-15 Champions League.
Hmm.
And I kid you not, on our official AS Roma India group at 4-1 or 5-1, there's a message from me saying, please no 7-1. And that's precisely what happened. So, I don't know. I guess every few years the Roma defense decides to implode. Uh, you said, Swarnim said, unfortunately, their implosion happened in the Coppa Italia. For me, luckily, it happened in the Coppa Italia and not in the Champions League when the whole world will be watching. And yes, Roma, it's a big loss for Roma because winning the Coppa Italia winning a 10th Coppa Italia would be a very big deal for Roma because they have not won more than 3 Serie A. But better now than in the Champions League or even in Serie A for that matter.
Absolutely, and after that we have Shreyas. You've joined us again at the correct time. I know there's some problems, but Shreyas, yeah, let's get back to you and let's get back to the question again, Shreyas. Just tell us about yourself and your time with AC Milan, the supporters club in India as well, and the club as a whole.
So sorry for that technical difficulty earlier. So initially we started off with about 50 odd members as a Facebook group, and right now we are a budding community of around 5,000 to 6,000 people, and I've seen it grow organically. And this is not through just spreading Facebook posts and Instagram posts or tweets. This is about creating the vibe about the football that Milan used to play. So I started supporting Milan back when Ancelotti took reins, and I've not seen like much better football being played on European soil, and the way they took Champions League glory to their back to Milan was something that I could really connect with, even though I was just a football fan. But Milan brought that passion into me, and I've been following Milan ever since. So it's about 10 to 15 years, and it's a great thing that you're doing here, bringing all these fan clubs together and engaging people about Serie A and talk about Italian football is a huge thing because it's not been emphasized so much of late. And you see, like people who I hang out and who I play football with are usually the United fans and the Barca fans. And just to prove these people wrong, I want to support different club, and Milan gave me that perfect opportunity. Although I did see Milan going down, from 2005 and 7 when they sold Kaká and Ancelotti started leaving. That was the beginning of the downhill of Milan. But right now, today, I can tell you that this is the rejuvenation that we are all looking forward to. And
Great. As you said, we actually, you would be very glad to know that we still have to start La Liga, which I was telling Arjun, and we started with Serie A, and I'm a fan of anything that's in the process building. So,
You should be a Roma fan.
I'm a Totti fan, by the way. Totti and Andrea Pirlo, when I can idolize my entire life too. I know these one club men, by the way. And just getting back to the Panenka view, we are fan of something that's building. We would love to portray it here. We would love to show people how behind the scene goes and how wonderful you all have been in getting everyone together. Well, Shreyas, again, going back to you on the Coppa Italia, we've discussed Fiorentina, Roma, we've discussed Atlanta, Juve. AC Milan beat Napoli 2-0 and kind of had a draw in the league first, and then there was this result where AC Milan, Piatek, the sensational debut, two quick goals and sending you all through to the semi-final. So the only top 4 club that actually progressed to the Coppa Italia semi-final, and this time there's no Juventus or there's no Juventus in the final. Do you see going all the way? By the way,
I mean, if you look at the last 5 years, Milan have shown very significant performance in the Coppa Italia. And I feel this is their season, at least with respect to Coppa Italia. And their recent performance against Napoli, where Piontek came up with a brilliant brace, is good enough justice to what I'm saying, what I'm trying to claim here. Piontek comes with a very good goal scoring record, and he's not just filling up the big boots that Higuain left, but he's also motivating Cutrone to perform better. and that's exactly what we're looking at for Milan. We're trying to bring in competition within the squad of youngsters who have a lot of potential to grow. So you can't really discount the fact that we are going to lift the Coppa Italia this season, especially because of our track record for the last few years. But I can tell you for a fact that this group of players certainly have the hunger, the desire, and the ambition to lift some kind of silverware this year. And the Coppa Italia seems like the most achievable target so far.
Absolutely, and we'll get into the league stage a bit later. Just one more game, Arjun.
Yeah.
Inter and Lazio had a 1-1 draw, and that went to penalties. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, that went to penalties where Lazio knocked Milan out. So it's Lazio versus Milan. That's also a derby to looking forward to that as well, right? Yeah, look out to that.
Absolutely. In fact, those it now looks like it may be the final before the final,
Mm.
because those are both the two teams that you would have tipped as the strongest two teams remaining in the competition. As a Roma fan, I will absolutely be supporting Milan in the semi-final, but I'm going to predict a Lazio Atalanta final.
So Lazio and Atalanta. That's Swarnim. Let's go to you because we've kept you waiting along. What are your
No,
predictions
it's all
for
right.
Coppa Italia final? Like,
It, for me, it's gonna be Lazio Atalanta, like Shreyas said. Sorry,
hmm.
I'm really bad with the name.
So, yeah, me too. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. Arjun
and
also. Yeah. Arjun, yeah.
Arjun. Sorry, Arjun. Like
No
Arjun said,
problem.
and I think it's gonna be Atalanta winning the Coppa Italia this season.
Atalanta. That's
Yeah.
something I wouldn't be surprised to hear, considering the fact that I've seen a lot of their games, and so that's about it from the Coppa Italia, guys. And
Mhm.
Thank
let's
you.
go. Let's move towards the Arjun was very keen to move to the league, so let's move on to the league's games now. And Roma and Milan played out a 1-1 draw. Juventus were held to a 3-3 draw. Swarnim, 3-1 lead, and then a Parma team with the guy named Gervinho, which I know well, who played for Arsenal as well, made it 3-3. Again, 2 points dropped, and you also mentioned that Juventus haven't done a lot of good things. Like they haven't been in that form since the last 3 or 4 game weeks. 2 points dropped. Did you feel that 2 points were obviously dropped? And where did you
Yes.
think did it go wrong? By the way, there could they have scored
See,
more?
if you talk about a team like Juventus, it's not like you expect a draw. You know, when you have been winning the league for seven seasons in a row, a draw is as bad as a defeat.
Hmm.
And considering the way the club has been built around, it's always been about winning matches. Sometimes we don't perform well, we win the matches. Sometimes we do perform well and still we end up losing the match. But still, in Juve, it's never have been about the beautiful game or bel gioco, like they say in especially the Napoli fans say. Bel gioco is a good game, by the way.
Hmm.
So it's always been about winning. And if you lose a match or if you draw a match, it's completely unacceptable. Not just with us, the fans, but to the players and to the board of directors as well, to the management as well. So, with all due respect to Parma, these 2 points lost were entirely due to the mistake of Juventus. See, Gervinho has been performing exceptionally well in with Parma,
Hmm.
but Juventus have this tendency for past 4 5 seasons when they just let go of the game in second half. The perfect examples would be the two Champions League finals.
Hmm.
So there has to be, as a fan, I hope there is something that can be changed to change this habit of just going to sleep in the second half.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
yeah, and let's go to Arjun. Arjun, Roma had a 1-1 draw, and
Right.
Piatek was quick to score. By the way, he's on fire at Milan and looking like a prospect that might just be their answer to a missing for guy who scores the goals. So just take our viewers through the Roma Milan game.
Right. So As I was watching Roma Fiorentina, and I could imagine Christoph Piontek watching Roma Fiorentina, uh, it, you could imagine he was licking his lips all week waiting for that game to play against what looked like a fragile Roma defense. And it did start off that way. But Roma actually started the game very positively, did pile on some early pressure. The goal was rather against the run of play, an individual mistake from Lorenzo Pellegrini, who's actually been one of our star performers this season. Uh, got caught in possession with Lucas Paqueta, who's been doing really well since coming into Milan, and got beaten by Paqueta. Ball comes in, Piontek, outstanding finish at the near post, pretty much a sniper's finish from the striker. From there, Roma still reacted pretty well. Donnarumma made some amazing saves in the first half, and as soon as the second half resumed, Roma scored through Nicolo Zaniolo, who's been pretty much the story of Roma's season. Uh, Going on in the later stages of the game, it was end-to-end stuff. You had Milan attacking, you had Roma attacking. Lorenzo Pellegrini hit a header onto the post, which could have been very crucial, and then
Yeah.
arguably should have been sent off for a second yellow card, which did not happen. So I think all in all, a 1-1 was a fair result. I would have liked to see that ball go in off the post, but I think for Roma, from going 7-1 against Fiorentina to playing Christoph Piątek and conceding only one goal, coming off with the 1 point is still a positive result.
Well, Shreyas is back, and Shreyas, you're making your appearances clearly on time. And here is the question: Roma Milan, your perspective on the game. Also, did you think you all missed out on a chance to close in on the gap, especially when Inter lost to Bologna 1-0 at home?
I mean, certainly can't deny the fact that we did lose 2 points. But looking back at how we've been facing the big teams, we did have a lot of intensity against Roma. And Roma coming back from a thumping in Florence, I see this as a good result. I don't see this as a drop in 2 points. I feel like Milan have retained their identity and are now able to play against tougher opposition, and that's a good sign in my opinion. Although I did feel like Roma did dominate most of the game, and Milan did have a couple of chances that they did not capitalize on. So all in all, it was a fair game, and 1-1 did seem like a fair score. Both teams would have claimed to have dropped 2 points, but that's definitely a chance that we have missed to close in on the third place. Because if you look at the table right now, even Sampdoria have a clear shot at fourth place or third place. So it's all open there. Anyone's points, and it's anyone's third and fourth place.
But,
Well, Arjun, here's a question for you on live chat. What's with booing your own players, Roma fans?
absolutely,
Please.
this has been a problem with Roma for donkey's years. It's the reason why a lot of players have found it more difficult to perform at Roma than at their previous clubs. Because at Roma, when you're doing well, the fans will make you a god, and when you're doing badly, they will turn on you. And this is one very serious problem that Roma have. And so the incident with Alexander Kolarov and Kostas Manolas, who've been two of Roma's better performers over the season, is when they were leaving for Florence for the Fiorentina game. It's because they had thrown a 3-0 lead away to Atalanta to draw 3 all over the weekend.
Yeah.
They were heckled by the fans, and they responded to the fans in a way that the fans did not like. These things just unsettle the players, and there is, for me, no coincidence between how badly Kolarov and Manolas played in that game to the reaction that was given to them by the fans, and then the continued reaction that they got at the Stadio Olimpico, which they, to my pleasant surprise, they responded to very well. But I think the fans need to back the team. It's very easy to just turn on your players, but to remember that they're human as well, and that some bad performances will come. And it's only when you support your team at its worst that they will really manage to find their best. So, message to any Roma fan watching out there: get behind the team. We need the players to perform. They're the ones on the field. Our frustration off the field should not in any way impede the team on the field.
Oh, yes, true that. And Swarnim, 9 points is the gap now at the top, obviously,
Uh-huh.
because Napoli dropped points last week, Juve dropped this week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to ask some questions repeatedly, but I was speaking about it with a few people. What do you think Allegri will move on from Juventus at the end of this season? Do you think he will go look out for a better or somewhere else, or do you think he will stay and he will try and win the Champions League, which has been eluding them since the past 3 4 years?
See, if you say that we have to replace him with a better coach, and to find a better coach than Allegri, the way he has been doing at Juve is close to impossible. Aren't many names available who have better record than Allegri. And
Hmm.
if you ask me personally, I think Allegri might leave, but it's
Hmm.
gonna be the decision by Allegri, not the Juve board, because Juve board would really love to have Allegri in the team, leading the team. And you can see the board actually trusts Allegri with the way they are doing signings that are actually players that fit into Allegri's system. The perfect example would be renewal of Khedira. He's
Hmm.
a player who gets most heat from the fans,
Hmm.
but he's the one who scores crucial goals. Yes, he makes mistakes, but he's kind of decisive. And the way the board has renewed his contract, that shows they have trust in Allegri.
Okay, yeah, and I've got a couple of questions on um, the penalty decision. Let's go to Shreyas. Shreyas, where this is pointed out that the referee screwed Milan by denying a penalty on Suso.
I
Would
mean,
VAR made
that's
a difference
true.
there? Yeah.
I did see that incident. I do understand some of the claims, but the VAR and referees' decisions have gone for us a lot of times, and I don't think we should be dependent on these trivial things. I mean, we are looking at the bigger picture here. We are thinking about beating Roma 2-0 or 3-0 the next game. We don't want, the slight odd chance of a referee probably thinking about a penalty decision. I mean, the claims are valid. Kolarov did have his hands on Soso and he did push him, but I don't think we should be dependent or we shouldn't be trivializing on those things. We should be looking at the bigger picture here. We did pull off a very good performance against a very tough opposition.
I do think it was a penalty. It
Yeah,
should
Arjun,
have been
go on.
called. In my book, that was a penalty.
That
Kolarov,
clearly is a penalty, but again, it's the referee's interpretation. And
I mean, you've seen against Fiorentina and Inter that maybe Roma should have not given a penalty against Fiorentina. Fiorentina were wrongly given a penalty against Roma. Roma were not given a penalty. VAR was not referred to for a foul on Zaniolo while playing against Inter. So over the course of the season, I think these things even themselves out, unless you're Juventus, of course.
No, come on.
Well,
See,
Swarnim,
it's been the pattern since I remember. If it happens in favor of Juve, every newspaper, every forum in Italy just go crazy. But when it
Maybe
happens against Juve, no one gives well, I wouldn't say the word on live
hey, well,
webcast.
it happened once in the Champions League last season, and then we all saw Juve
Yeah, it's
reacted to
like
it.
like
So
Arjun,
we all
it's like you
supported you
said.
there, by the way. We all
Yeah,
of Italy
of
was
course.
supporting Juventus there, though. So
And yeah, Arjun, it's like you said, these things happen. Well, referees are human too, and a team
right.
shouldn't be dependent on those decisions to change the game. If you have a better team, if you have to win a match, why
Right.
not finish the match and in a way that even if the referee is biased, which is not. To be very honest, I believe the referees in Serie A are not biased, but they are, a bit not the best quality referees,
I
if
agree
I
with
can
you.
say like that. And why do a team need to depend on those decisions to change the result? Why not just win or lose the match without being dependent on such calls from the referee?
well,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Well, Swarnim, don't go anywhere. We have a question for you on live chat. And the
Sure.
question is from Shriram. Shriram asks, Swarnim, being a coach yourself, do you agree with Milan Roma game where the referee was flashing cards left and right for dissent?
See, to be very honest, I would go with yes. See, sometimes there are matches given the situation in Italy, Coppa
Hmm.
Italia clearly means much more to Roma and Milan than it does to Juve, because Juve are competing for the Champions League, for Serie A, and of course, I as a fan would have loved to see Juve win another Coppa Italia. But when there's a match which is so decisive, and the players get carried away, and yes, sometimes the referee has to take those drastic steps to keep the match under control.
Absolutely. Well, guys, great thoughts on the games, great thought, whatever you felt. And we also have to address one thing here, which I was speaking to Arjun before we came live. And Arjun, AS Roma have been given the green signal for the building a new stadium. And that's good news. Your thoughts on that, by the way, on the new stadium?
Honestly, I would have preferred not to talk about it yet because of the number of times we thought it was happening in the past and then we've seen it stop. The most cruel was recently when things were going and the contractor Parnasi, who was handling the stadium, was arrested. So I still don't. I'm still not going to pop the champagne. I'm still going to wait. But if it is true, it's fantastic news for Roma because this is something we've been waiting for since 2011. And it's really good for the administration as well, for the Roma management, because they've come under a lot of criticism from the fans, some of it which is really over the top, for selling their best players, which a lot of fans just don't understand is the reality of football. And it's only when that stadium comes, when the revenue from that stadium comes, that Roma can afford to step up to the next level, when Roma can afford to keep their best players, when Roma can use the transfer market to only strengthen their team. Juventus have set the example. Juventus have been the first team in Italy to have their own stadium, and you can see the effect it's had. Yes, they did get a lot of good transfers when they started winning Serie A, but it's not a coincidence that it all started at the Juventus arena. It's because Juventus and Roma both have made some good and bad signings over the years. You see Juventus with the years that they signed Diego, Felipe Melo, Amauri, and things didn't work out. Roma right now, if things don't work out, they cannot afford to invest better in the next window because simply the hands are tight. They're financially within their limitations, and I think that if the stadium does come, then maybe in 4 or 5 years, fingers crossed, we will see Roma taking it up to the next level. Because when the stadium talk began, we thought we'd see Francesco Totti play at the stadium. And as things have gone on, we've been joking about how even Christian Totti will never play at the stadium. So a big positive. But I will still wait to see the final product before I really get happy.
Well, Swarnim, I have a question for you on Gattuso and Gattuso under the gun. I've heard people say, where do he might be off in the summer. They might appoint, Milan might go for a new coach. What do you think is the most achievable target for Milan at the end of this season? And we are going to go to Shreyas as well. Swarnim, let's go to Shreyas first. Shreyas, let's talk about Gattuso and let's talk about how will Gattuso be at AC Milan next season, and where do you think will this season be a success for you all, considering the fact that you all in the race for Champions League as well? The Champions League, yeah.
Firstly, thoughts on Gattuso. I feel like he's brought in a lot of team values into the squad. The squad knows how to play in unity, and that is very important for a project that has just started and for a team that is just looking to, kick off their path into years and years of Champions League and Serie A challenging. So I feel like Gattuso is on the right track at the moment. Certainly, he's going to be tested like he has been in the past. And I feel Gattuso does not have the right kind of experience to handle a Champions League side like Milan, but he has the experience and the mentality of a player who's won multiple trophies and multiple titles. So he knows how to deal with these players, especially players who have not had that kind of experience before, with Milan especially. So I feel Gattuso will play a very important part in Milan's first few years in the Champions League, but I don't see him as a long-term solution to AC Milan's problems.
Fair enough. And Shreyas, we've got another question for you, and it is, how would you describe Piatek's style of play, and is he similar to Robert Lewandowski?
The comparisons are justified because Polish and both of them have amazing finishing and really good technical ability. So I don't see why not. Why he can't be the next Lewandowski, but his playing style, I would say, is similar to any new age or modern striker. He's someone who likes to drop deep, support the build up, and then look forward and attack the spaces and uh, also craft out chances for his teammates as well. So he's not just someone like Higuain who requires that right mentality to perform, but he has the right technical ability. So you can expect a certain level of performance from him no matter what. And that is very important for Milan right now because we're looking at consistency, and only consistency is going to bring us results. And Piatek is the perfect player in that position right now, and he's even giving a tough competition with Cutrone, which is only motivating the squad to do even better. So I
That's
see this as a solution in a lot of different facets and not just limited to player suitability or tactical suitability alone. So I see this as something that Gattuso or the Milan management have looked at from a bigger picture or a wider point of view.
perfect. Fair enough. And Swarnim, there's a question popping in my head, basically because of live chat. Gattuso, a great motivator, but tactically unaware, just like Antonio Conte. Do you agree
See,
with that?
I kind of agree and kind of disagree as well. Because see, if you talk about Conte, he had been working with the other clubs before coming to Juve.
Hmm.
And Gattuso, what I like about Gattuso is he knows what it's like to be at Milan.
Hmm.
And what's happening with Milan is I wouldn't blame Gattuso for it.
Hmm.
See, the mistake in Milan has been from the board. You cannot expect to sign Higuain, Bonucci, and players like that and win in an instant. You have to build up the club. See, we all know the downfall of Milan. So if you have to go back to the top, you have to go step by step. You cannot just buy top players and expect to win the league.
Hmm.
And to invest so much in players that are already stars in Italy and abroad and not win anything, it's going to put you in trouble with the FFP. That's what has happened with Milan. And so, for in regard of Gattuso, I wouldn't say he is unaware. Yes, he is passionate. Yes, definitely, probably the most passionate coach that's in Serie A right now. But I wouldn't say he's unaware. But yes, that's something he can work on. His tactical ability, his substitutions, his style, his ability to manage the game as it goes.
Hmm. Yeah, true that. True that. Good point there, Swarnim. And guys, once again, I think the agenda is of the episode is complete. Like we've gone through the Coppa Italia, the weekend. We've spoken about about Roma's new stadium. We've had a few questions from live chat as well. And I hope you all have enjoyed this episode. I hope you all will share the link everywhere. I hope Paolo Rossi will again watch this episode. And Marco Materazzi will as well. So I hope you're loving this. This is just episode 2, and we would love to do more and more on Italian football. Also, the weekend is coming up. The weekend fixtures are coming up. Well, we kind of will review the games first, and we might do a big game preview with y'all. So, yeah, Arjun, any final thoughts before we sign out? Shreyas, any final thoughts? Let's start with Arjun.
Honestly, I had a question for Swarnim.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think of Mattia Perin on the third goal?
Sorry.
Gervinho's final goal. What do you think of Perin on Gervinho's final goal?
I wouldn't blame Perrin for that. It's very common with fans to blame just one player to when the team concedes a goal. Like I always tell to my players, like I always tell in the fan group, that if you score a goal, it's not a credit of a single player. It's similar for when you concede a goal. You cannot blame only Caceres, you
Agreed,
cannot
agreed.
blame Rugani, you cannot blame only Perrin for that.
My
Whole team has to
question,
be blamed for it.
my question was more between Chesney and Perin. Who do you see
Uh-huh.
staying at Juventus long term? Because I don't think either of them would in the long term accept a second string role.
See, the way Allegri has been working with them, in my opinion, it would be a good decision for both of them to stay for at the club for at least 2 years. See, given Chesney is already 28 and Perrin is 24 or 25, I'm not really sure about that. So still, see, they still have a lot of time, and it's a new trend in football to have two top goalkeepers. If you look at clubs like Chelsea, you look at Man City, you look at Real Madrid. So I don't see why one of them has to leave. Given Allegri or whoever the coach is able to rotate them and give them proper game time.
I agree with you. I just don't think that in the long term the rotation would be sustainable, but it would be interesting to
Well,
watch.
not everyone is a Gigi Buffon.
Agreed.
When you are at Juve, you are instantly compared with legends like Buffon, Dinozoff, and it's not easy for either goalkeeper to fill shoes like someone with of Buffon.
I can think of one.
Also, Shreyas, we'll come to you, but Arjun, we're going to take one more quick question from the live chat,
Sure.
and then we are stopping this. So here you go about Senses and his impact at Roma, and will he become a goal-scoring winger like Salah?
About Cengiz Under?
Yeah, Cengiz Under. Yeah.
Well, whether Cengiz Under becomes a big goal-scoring winger or not at Roma depends on how long Roma keep him. I'm worried this year that he will be the sale we make in July. Better him than Manolas, but I have a feeling that one out of those two, or maybe Lorenzo Pellegrini, could be at their way out of the club. As for Cengiz, the way he finished last season, we all expected him to have a 10 or 15 goal season this year. We expected him, having started the season as an undisputed starter, to really take the league by storm. He's had some amazing moments, goal against Inter especially, but he's also had some really bad ones. There was one miss against Real Madrid. If you ask me, if Cengiz's value was to start at say 50 or 60 million at the start of the season, it'll finish. If he continues the same way, it'll probably stay the same. So I don't see him getting up to the level of Mohamed Salah just yet. But the way the market has gone, I believe Roma will recoup a lot more money for Cengiz Under eventually than they did for Mohamed Salah. If Cengiz Under is to stay at Roma next season, if Roma is to have a strong start to the season from the beginning, then I think we can expect a lot in his player development.
Absolutely true, and I hope you got your answer. So, Shreyas, any final thoughts you would like to add before we go? Oh, and Shreyas is off again. So,
That's like
Seems
as
like there are
consistent
no
as
final
AC
thoughts.
Milan in the.
there are some technical there's some technical glitch sometimes it happens, but
Mm-hmm.
I hope guys you have enjoyed this episode, and it was great again discussing Italian football with both of you and Shreyas as well. We got to hear a lot from him in parts, but that's okay. He's joined us at the right time. So yes, let's do this again next week. Uh, then the week later and the week later, we are at the
Absolutely.
business. We are at the business end of the season where uh, the title will be decided. Italy, in the past 7 years, it has been. I wouldn't want to go there, and the second, third, fourth, fifth spots are up for grabs. There's a tough competition there, 3, 4, 5, 6, and before we go, yeah, yes, Shreyas, hi. Any final thoughts before we leave?
Final thoughts on Milan.
Oh, and anything on the episode and as a general interacting with fellow Italian football fans.
Oh yeah, like I said, it's great to interact with fellow Italian football fans to discuss and deliberate matters of Serie A is of great excitement for Serie A lovers and hopefully for world football lovers as well. And hopefully we can continue this in the long run. Few words about Milan. I feel like we are on a very strong run this season. The fourth place seems to be our spot. And it seems like Inter might slip up their third place as well. So that whole third and fourth place seems to be in a mix. And I really hope Milan can capitalize on it. Considering how Paqueta and Piontek have been performing, I certainly feel like we have a really bright future ahead.
And just before we close in, thank you, Shreyas, for joining in on such a short notice. You've been great, Arjun. You've been all great with your inputs as well.
Thank
There
you.
was some the stadium thing and the games as well. People have loved it. I receive a lot of organic text as well off chat, and they've loved it. Would you love to be a regular here,
Absolutely,
Ajay?
absolutely. I'd be happy to be here every
And
Tuesday. Uh,
yeah.
as we move farther and farther from the Coppa Italia week, it'll be a lot more fun for me. So,
True that, true that. And Swarnim, you've been sensational as well. So
Thank you.
say hi to Paolo Rossi, and
hey,
I can do. Yeah. So what Swarnim, what's the one thing I can say in Italian for Paolo Rossi, just to address him?
You can say Ciao Paolo Rossi, Ti saluto, which means hello Paolo Rossi. It's like we send you a salute. It's like not a salute as in the military one,
So
but
it's
just
so
a
it's
hello.
so it's Ciao Paolo Rossi, Ciao
Rossi,
Paolo Rossi. Yeah, Ciao Paolo Rossi.
T saluto.
Saluto.
See,
Ciao.
yes.
Okay. I'm learning Italian, sir, and with these group of enthusiastic men who motivated us to do this. I hope we get better with the weeks that are passing by. So yet again, you've been great as well, our viewers. We've been the Panenka View. Here's Prasad Bhutkar signing out with Arjun, Shreyas, and Swarnim. Thank you for
Ciao.
joining.
thank you. Ciao. Forza Roma.
Thank you. Been a pleasure.